So let's say you want to model a smooth ergonomic surface, settle down, like this joystick, but we want to use a low poly control mesh. Let's talk about NURMS modeling. This video assumes that you have a basic working knowledge of Blender, and Blender is what I'm going to be using to demonstrate this technique. This NURMS method, this mesh subdivision method, is much more intuitive, I find. Students seem to have an easier time with it. It's not to be confused with NURBS, NURBS, which is a spline-based technique. This is a mesh subdivision technique. And so let's jump right in. I'm going to clear out my light and camera here, so I just have my cube. And then I'm going to want to add a modifier to this cube. So I come over to the little wrench tab here and add a subdivision surface. And you can see that it kind of turns it into a little ball, right? It rounds it out. I can change the resolution here. So it can be a cube, or it can be smoother and smoother, more like a ball as I turn this up. This allows you to change the resolution on the fly, which is a very handy little feature. I just want to pause quickly and point out that this is called Subdivision. We're using Catmull Clark Subdivision. This is a generally applicable technique, and this will be available to you in any 3D modeler worth its salt. Occasionally, app developers decide to use funny names to keep you locked in. I'm looking at you, C4D. For years, they called it NURBS. So this is a basic subdivision modifier, and this thing is super old, right? It's almost 50 years old. Let's actually do a quick check here on a, what is Catmull Clark Subdivision? Let's go to the Wikipedia article. Oh my. Okay. And Catmull Clark Subdivision was published, as you can see here, in 1978 by Ed Catmull and Jim Clark. Ed Catmull went on to found Pixar Animation, and he's currently, the, as it says in his bio there, president of Walt Disney Animation. So he stayed in the field. And this technique predates most of the software you're using. So yeah, it's an old technique. So in Blender here, now that I've got my subdivision modifier on this cube, I'm going to hit tab to go into edit mode, and I can still see the cube that is controlling this mesh. And if I move around one of the points here, you can see it stretches that base mesh. So that's, I can pull on a single vertex like that. I can also grab an edge and pull or push in on the mesh to make maybe like a button shape or a little droplet. I can also grab faces and move those around. So I can pull this, face up and get kind of a football shape, or I can squish that shape down and get kind of like a nice flat river stone there. I can also scale this face and get more of an egg shape like that. And you can see that this is a very fast technique, and because this thing is completely symmetrical, it's really good for technical modeling. And as I said before, you can change the resolution when you're ready to get a nice smooth output, but you can keep it low resolution while you're working on it so that it's nice and fast, even with a computer without a great graphics card or anything. But how I normally would use this thing in day-to-day work to get a little bit more robust behavior out of it, certainly if I'm going to make something like that game controller, I'm going to need to cut this mesh. So I'm going to slice it right down the middle with a loop cut, and then I'm going to delete the faces on this side here. Just going to get rid of these. There we go. Delete those faces, and it gives me an open shell, which is still being subdivided, but I want to add a mirror modifier to this. And again, you would be able to do this workflow pretty much in any 3D program. So feel free to try to reproduce this. I'm going to use the mirror modifier on here so that it copies it along the x-axis. Something to notice if you're going to use a mirror modifier. If I go to move one of these vertices, oh boy, don't do that. And definitely don't do that either. Oh, that's bad. Okay. Thankfully, in Blender, the mirror modifier has a clipping option. So if you turn that on, it will stop you from doing that. It will keep the inside points there constrained along the 0 axis. That's handy. All right, so now let me start trying to work on my game controller. I've got my little setup here. I'm gonna pull this in, maybe pull this guy down. Let's see, I want like that kind of Xbox controller look, right? So I'm gonna like pull this out to give me the kind of the wings there. Yeah, like that. And then pull this guy back, maybe. Pull this one, let's see. Pull this up, maybe like that. Woo, maybe not that much. Flatten out the front here. Let's do that kind of. Beep. Beep, thank you. Pull that out like that. Pull this guy down maybe because these are those wings there. I'm gonna actually bring this one back in, like up a little bit. There we go. Like that kind of shape there. Maybe pull some of these out a little bit. Just like that. Just kind of stretch it, see? And then of course I'm gonna get out of this this mode here. And I don't like that weird pinch. I'm gonna try rearranging my modifiers here. There we go. So notice if I do subdivision first, I get kind of a hard seam there. If I bring the mirror up and do the mirror first and then the subdivision, then I get a nice smooth transition. So the order of your modifiers can matter. Pay attention to that. It's almost like the controller that I want. Now that I got rid of that weird seam, I'm gonna push a little harder on some of these things here. I want to get that shape nice and smooth. It seems all right. That's not too bad. Bring this one in a little bit like that. Okay, so now I've got that kind of nice controller shape getting started there. And let's see, I'm ready to print this. Now I just turn up my resolution on the subdivision modifier, get that nice smooth profile. Pretty much ready to print up, stick some buttons in there, what have you. Well, that's mesh subdivision modeling, also known as NURMS, and hopefully you find that useful. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.